Welcome to Trending Update USA, I am Steffan. Today's developing story has sent shockwaves through the tennis world and triggered a cascade of reactions across social media, inside the locker rooms, and even within the WTA's upper administration. We are tracking the situation surrounding former pro and outspoken tennis analyst Emily Stellato, whose recent claims about Elena Rybakina's coach sparked major controversy. Now, following Rybakina's highly publicized decision to distance herself from Aryna Sabalenka and openly challenge the authority of WTA CEO Marina Storti, Stellato has reacted once again, adding even more layers to an already complicated and combustible narrative. What began as a niche argument about coaching behavior has evolved into one of the most emotionally charged storylines in women's tennis. The timeline of this entire dispute is essential to understand the full impact of Stellato's new reaction. Several months ago, Emily Stellato, who played professionally before transitioning into commentary, made headlines when she claimed that Rybakina's longtime coach Stefano Vukov had threatened legal action against her after she publicly criticized his courtside behavior. Stellato argued that certain interactions between Vukov and Rybakina during matches crossed professional boundaries, and she stood by her comments despite backlash. Vukov and Rybakina denied the allegations, with Rybakina issuing a firm statement saying she trusted her coach and that any portrayal of him as aggressive was unfair. But Stellato insisted she had been contacted in a way that suggested legal retaliation was being considered. The conflict simmered for months. Then came the latest development. Rybakina abruptly withdrew support from fellow player Aryna Sabalenka during an ongoing debate about tournament scheduling, rest periods, and perceived inconsistencies in WTA leadership decisions. Sabalenka had been one of the loudest voices criticizing the WTA for player fatigue, unfair scheduling, and communication failures. Many expected top 5 players like Rybakina to back her. Instead, Rybakina publicly stated that she did not fully agree with Sabalenka's arguments and dismissed certain points as exaggerated. This caught the entire tennis world by surprise because both athletes had frequently expressed alignment on tour-related frustrations in the past. The situation escalated further when Rybakina turned her criticism toward WTA CEO Marina Storti, accusing the organization of lacking transparency and mishandling player concerns. She argued that the WTA's leadership often failed to provide clarity, even when the issues directly affected athlete health. She pushed for more accountability, but simultaneously distanced herself from what she called unproductive dramatics, widely interpreted as a swipe at Sabalenka's emotional delivery. This dual-front confrontation, against Sabalenka and the WTA CEO, instantly became the headline story across global tennis media. Enter Emily Stellato. After staying relatively quiet for several weeks, she posted a detailed response addressing Rybakina's sudden shift and the growing backlash from fans who accused the Kazakh star of abandoning unity among the tour's top players. Stellato's reaction quickly went viral because she framed Rybakina's recent behavior within the context of her own past conflicts with Rybakina's coaching camp. She argued that the same pattern of avoidance and selective accountability was visible again, and she claimed this latest drama proved her earlier statements about Rybakina's inner circle were not baseless. Stellato did not explicitly restate the alleged legal threat, but she strongly implied that the environment surrounding Rybakina is not as calm or controlled as the public might believe. According to Stellato, the decision to publicly contradict Sabalenka and challenge the WTA CEO was not accidental but indicative of pressure-driven decision-making within Team Rybakina. This assertion reignited debate among fans, analysts, and even former players, many of whom disagree on whether Rybakina's behavior reflects independent opinion or external influence. Social media lit up with commentary. Some fans argued that Stellato was unfairly inserting herself into a story that no longer involved her. Others said her previous claims, dismissed at the time, now appear more plausible in light of Rybakina's conflicting messages. Sabalenka's fanbase was particularly vocal, accusing Rybakina of betraying the informal solidarity among top players who have repeatedly complained about WTA scheduling issues that many believe contributed to injuries and burnout. Meanwhile, supporters of Rybakina countered that she has every right to separate her position from Sabalenka's emotional rhetoric. They claim she is presenting a calm, rational critique of the WTA while refusing to align with what they view as a chaotic public campaign. This division mirrored an earlier split within the fan community over the coaching controversy involving Vukov, which remains one of the most polarizing debates in women's tennis. To this day, some fans defend him as a passionate, effective coach, while others believe his courtside intensity crosses the line. Stellato's commentary only widened the gap. In her response, she suggested that if Rybakina was now willing to abandon Sabalenka over differences in tone, it cast doubt on how she handled past disputes, including their own. She noted that Rybakina has often remained silent during controversies involving her team, which Stellato argues creates an environment where misunderstandings escalate. She framed Rybakina's recent decisions as an extension of this silence, an approach that, according to Stellato, allows problems to grow until they erupt publicly. This perspective immediately drew reaction from tennis journalists, several of whom pointed out that Stellato's comments placed substantial responsibility on Rybakina without acknowledging the broader instability currently plaguing the WTA. The organization has faced months of criticism regarding decision-making, inconsistent policies, and communication gaps that have frustrated players across the rankings. The Sabalenka Rybakina split highlights deeper concerns: who actually speaks for the athletes, and whether unity among top players is possible when the tour is under so much stress. What makes this story even more explosive is that Rybakina and Sabalenka are not just two random athletes. They are part of the elite group shaping the narrative of modern women's tennis. Their rivalry has defined finals, semifinals, and major tournament arcs. Fans expect them to lead, not fracture, the push for improved conditions. When one distances herself from the other, the ripple effect reaches the locker rooms, the media, the business partners, and the WTA boardroom. And when a former pro like Stellato attaches her prior allegations to this unfolding drama, the narrative becomes even more charged. Inside the WTA, sources say officials were taken aback by Rybakina's direct criticism of CEO Marina Storti. While disagreements between players and leadership are common, rarely do top stars publicly challenge the CEO by name. The organization now faces the challenge of responding without appearing defensive. Some insiders believe Rybakina's comments may trigger internal reviews of communication protocols, while others predict the WTA will attempt to downplay the conflict to avoid fueling further division among players. Meanwhile, Sabalenka's camp has not issued an official response to Rybakina's comments, but people close to the world number 2 indicate she feels disappointed but not surprised. Sabalenka has long complained that some players privately support her concerns yet refrain from joining her publicly due to fear of conflict or negative PR. Rybakina's distancing appears to validate those frustrations. Her decision may push Sabalenka to adopt an even stronger, more vocal stance in the future, especially if she feels top players are unwilling to back her unless it benefits their own narratives. As for Stellato, her reaction, now widely circulated, appears to reflect a sense of vindication. She emphasized that players, coaches, and commentators all contribute to the sports ecosystem and that constructive criticism should not be met with legal intimidation or dismissal. She argued that transparency is essential, whether the issue concerns coaching conduct, player disagreements, or tensions with leadership. While her comments remain polarizing, they reflect a larger conversation about professionalism, power dynamics, and accountability within the sport. The larger tennis community is watching closely. Rybakina has always maintained an image of calmness and composure, rarely letting controversies affect her public demeanor. But this situation has placed her at the center of a much larger debate about unity, leadership, and communication. Her comments about Sabalenka and the WTA CEO may mark a turning point in how she is perceived, not just as an athlete but as a voice within professional tennis. Will she continue speaking out? Will she clarify her position? Or will she retreat from the public spotlight and allow the storm to pass? Meanwhile, Sabalenka's next move could set the tone for the ongoing battle between players and the WTA's upper administration. Her advocacy for better scheduling and player protection has drawn both praise and criticism. With Rybakina stepping away from her side, Sabalenka may face growing pressure to build alliances or change her approach. Some believe she may even call for a Players' Council realignment or push for direct representation in decision-making processes. As for Marina Storti and the WTA leadership, the stakes have never been higher. The tour is navigating financial uncertainty, changing tournament structures, and growing concerns about player burnout. Public criticism from top players threatens not just PR stability but overall trust within the organization. The next statement from the WTA will likely be crafted with extreme caution, as any misstep risks further damaging the relationship with its most influential athletes. Stellato's re-entry into the conversation also raises questions about how external voices, retired players, analysts, influencers, shape public perception of active athletes. Tennis has seen similar situations in the past where former players inserted themselves into current debates, but rarely has it occurred with so many overlapping conflicts: player versus player, player versus CEO, former pro versus coach, and fanbase versus fanbase. The complexity of this moment reflects not just individual tensions, but a broader identity crisis within the WTA. This story is still developing. Rybakina has not issued further clarification. Sabalenka remains focused on competition but is said to be privately frustrated. The WTA has not responded. And Emily Stellato continues to stand by her earlier claims while positioning the latest controversy as evidence of a deeper issue. The tennis world now waits to see which direction this narrative will take and whether the involved parties will escalate, reconcile, or remain entrenched in their current positions. One thing is certain: this is no longer a simple argument. It has become one of the defining dramas of the season, and its repercussions will linger throughout the tour. This has been Steffan with Trending Update USA, continuing coverage of the explosive fallout surrounding Elena Rybakina, Aryna Sabalenka, WTA CEO Marina Storti, and the renewed reaction from former pro Emily Stellato. Stay tuned as we continue to track every development in this rapidly evolving story.